Respect is one of the strangest forces in human psychology. You can't ask for it, you can't argue your way into it, and the moment you try too hard to prove you deserve it, it disappears. Yet some people walk into a room and instantly receive it without saying a word. Conversations shift, people pay attention, and nobody can clearly explain why. You have probably witnessed this before. A quiet man enters a room and nothing dramatic happens, yet something changes in the atmosphere. People look at him differently. They listen when he speaks, and even when he stays silent, his presence somehow feels important. The question is simple but powerful. What creates that kind of respect? Let me show you something most people miss. Imagine two men entering the same environment. The first man immediately starts talking about himself. He explains his achievements, his plans, his opinions. He laughs loudly and tries to dominate the conversation. The second man does something different. He observes first. He listens carefully. He speaks only when he has something meaningful to say. Now here is the interesting part. After 30 minutes, people feel more curious about the second man. Not because he tried harder, but because his behavior created a certain tension. Human psychology reacts strongly to people who seem emotionally grounded. When someone does not rush to prove themselves, the mind begins asking questions. Who's this person? Why is he so calm? What does he know that the others don't? That curiosity is where respect begins. Most people destroy this effect without realizing it. They think respect is earned by explaining who they are. But respect rarely grows from explanation. It grows from consistency. From watching someone behave the same way no matter the situation. Think about the people you naturally respect. Maybe it was a teacher, a coach, an older friend. Someone who didn't talk much about values but lived by them every day. When things became difficult, they didn't panic. When someone challenged them, they didn't overreact. Their behavior stayed steady. Human beings notice that stability immediately, because stability is rare. Most people change their behavior depending on the room they are in. Around one group, they act confident. Around another, they become insecure. Around authority, they become quiet. Around weaker people, they become louder. That emotional inconsistency creates uncertainty. But when someone behaves the same way everywhere, something powerful happens. People begin trusting their presence. Trust slowly transforms into respect. Let me tell you a short story that explains this perfectly. Years ago, I met a man who worked quietly at a small training facility. He was not famous. He didn't have social media followers or a big reputation online. But everyone in that building respected him. The younger guys watched him carefully. Even the strongest athletes asked him for advice. And the strange thing was that he never tried to look important. He didn't interrupt people. He didn't explain his experience. He didn't correct others loudly. Most of the time, he simply trained, observed, and spoke only when necessary. One day I asked someone why everyone respected him so much. The answer was simple: because he does the work when nobody is watching. That sentence reveals something important about respect. Respect is built through silent evidence. The evidence of discipline. The evidence of reliability. The evidence that someone's behavior does not collapse under pressure. You see this pattern everywhere. The man who wakes up every morning and trains quietly earns more respect than the man who constantly talks about becoming strong. The man who stays calm during an argument earns more respect than the man who wins the argument loudly. The man who keeps his word earns more respect than the man who makes impressive promises. Over time, people begin noticing these patterns. They may not say anything directly, but their behavior changes. They listen more carefully when you speak. They ask for your opinion. They treat your time differently. But there is another layer behind silent respect: self-respect. If you want the world to respect you, your behavior must show that you respect yourself first. Self-respect appears in small decisions that most people ignore. How you use your time. Whether you follow through on commitments. Whether you tolerate disrespect just to avoid conflict. A man who respects himself does not beg for attention. He does not reshape his personality to fit every environment. He does not chase validation from people who clearly do not value him. Instead, he lives according to internal standards. And that is where something interesting begins to happen. The moment you stop trying to earn approval from everyone around you, your energy changes. You become calmer. You speak more slowly. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. Your attention becomes selective. And selective attention is powerful. When someone who rarely speaks gives an opinion, people listen carefully. When someone who protects their time decides to spend it with you, that time suddenly feels valuable. Scarcity creates importance. Now here is another detail that quietly builds respect: emotional control. Life constantly creates situations where emotions can take control. Someone criticizes you unfairly. A plan fails. A conversation becomes tense. Many people react instantly. They defend themselves. They raise their voice. They try to win the moment. But the person who stays calm during those situations creates a completely different impression. Calmness signals strength, because controlling your reaction requires more power than expressing it impulsively. When someone stays composed while everyone else becomes emotional, the brain automatically assigns them authority. Not because they demanded it, but because their behavior suggests they can handle pressure, and people respect those who can handle pressure. Another important piece of the puzzle is silence. Most men fear silence. They feel uncomfortable when a conversation pauses, so they rush to fill every moment with words. But silence can be one of the strongest forms of communication. A person who is comfortable in silence shows that they are not desperate for approval. They are simply present, observing, thinking, choosing their words carefully. That quiet control is magnetic. It creates curiosity, and curiosity makes people pay attention. But becoming a man people respect does not mean becoming cold or distant. Respect and warmth can exist together. The most respected individuals are often calm, kind, and patient. Their kindness simply comes from strength rather than insecurity. They help when they choose to help. They listen when they choose to listen. They give attention when it feels genuine. Choice creates authority, because when your behavior comes from choice rather than emotional reaction, people feel that difference immediately. Over time, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop trying to create respect. Respect appears on its own. People notice how you carry yourself. They notice how you handle pressure. They notice that your words match your actions. And slowly your presence begins speaking before you ever say anything. When you enter a room, people feel your energy. When you speak, they listen. When you stay silent, they still pay attention. Not because you demanded respect, but because your behavior made it inevitable. This is Velion code. Decode the mind, build your discipline, master your presence, and become the man everyone respects long before you say a single word.